If this is on your screen, it is not a coincidence. Your future has already reached back and activated your quantum shift, and this opening minute matters more than you think. Do not skip it. Something in you has felt the pressure building, the strange coincidences, the sudden rushes of clarity followed by fog, the heavy feeling that you have been standing in the doorway of your own life without quite stepping through. That tension is not failure. It is the signal. Quantum shift here is not a buzzword and not hype. It is the precise moment when your present state locks onto the frequency of the future that has been calling you for years. Think of it as a tuning, an inner click, when who you are now finally resonates with who you already are in your completed timeline. You didn't arrive because an algorithm nudged you. You arrived because the you who has already crossed the threshold sent a pulse through time, and your cells recognized it. You know the symptoms. The late-night restlessness that logic can't soothe. The fatigue of carrying a vision that hasn't yet landed. The push-pull between your intuition, calm, expansive, certain, and your mind's old reflexes, urgent, anxious, narrowing. Some days you wake radiant with knowing. Hours later you second-guess everything. That oscillation is not madness. It is metamorphosis. Two stations are overlapping. The familiar music of the past and the clear tone of your future self. The static you feel is simply both playing at once. Here is the truth your doubt keeps trying to cut into smaller pieces. You are not behind. You are precisely on time for the life that is already broadcasting to you. Your quantum shift began the instant you stopped trying to push your future into existence and started letting its frequency pull you into alignment. From this point on, the work is not force. It is focus, not striving. Tuning. In the next movements of this journey, we will do exactly that. I will show you how to recognize the signal of your future self without second-guessing it to death, how to let your body become the antenna that receives it cleanly, and how to live from that tone so consistently that coincidence becomes confirmation. Together, we will turn the noise down until the music of your life is unmistakable. But anchor this moment first. Make a small physical decision that tells your nervous system, we are doing this now. Place a hand on your heart, breathe once, slow and deep, and type 99 in the comments. Why 99? Because it marks the end of an old loop and the start of conscious alignment. It is simple, but it works. An outward gesture that locks an inward choice. And if this speaks to you, subscribe now, not for numbers, not for trend, but to keep your environment tuned to the frequency you are choosing today. Coherence loves consistency. You will need reminders that speak the language of your future, not the echoes of your past. Understand, this is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering what has always been true and letting that truth organize your reality. The ache you carry isn't a sign that you're broken. It's your life force pressing against containers that have grown too small. Old patterns, old rooms, old roles. What feels heavy right now is simply what cannot follow you through this door. So do not skip this part. Let the words pass the mind and land in the body. Feel the quiet certainty underneath the noise. Your quantum shift is already in motion. The future you has the baton. Your task is to listen and follow. Stay with me. In the next breath, we begin to tune. There is a distinct texture to the moment your future self speaks. It rarely arrives as a speech or a plan. It moves like weather through the body, subtle, then unmistakable. An inner shift that makes you stand a little taller, without knowing why. You might call it a tug, a shimmer, a soft click, but beneath every name is the same phenomenon, a coherent tone emerging inside the static. You felt it the instant you landed here, the microsecond in which something in you relaxed, because the words matched a frequency you have been trying to remember. That relief is data. In the language of our quantum shift, it is proof the future is already broadcasting and your system is beginning to tune. The signal does not plead, bargain, or rush. Its signature is spaciousness. Even when it points toward a difficult change, it carries a quiet steadiness, like stepping into a room where the furniture is arranged exactly as you would have placed it yourself. Noise, by contrast, is narrow and urgent. It speaks in shoulds and can'ts and countdowns. It spikes your pulse and tightens your jaw. If you do nothing else from this point forward, notice the difference. Does this impulse open you or close you? Does it lengthen your breath or make it shallow? Expansion is the hallmark of truth. Contraction is the watermark of fear. The mind can be convinced by arguments. The body cannot be fooled by vibration. Because the future communicates in sensation more than syllables, many miss it. They wait for thunder and overlook the faithful chime that has been ringing for years. Your future won't shout over nervous system drama. It will wait, the way a lighthouse waits for fog to thin. When you give it an inch, one unclenched hand, 1 minute away from the glowing rectangle, its tone grows audible. This is why synchronicities bloom when you slow down. You didn't conjure them from nowhere. You became quiet enough to register a conversation already in progress. The book that falls open to the right sentence, the friend who texts the exact phrase you just wrote, the number that repeats until you can't ignore it. These are coherence markers. Treat them as you would treat the first birdsong at dawn, not the whole day, but the evidence that day has begun. As coherence rises, old programming grows louder. Familiar stations, scarcity, danger, obligation, performance, argue for their jobs. They kept you safe in harsher seasons, so they insist the new music is fantasy. Do not bully these voices. They are not villains. They are outdated security protocols. Thank them for their vigilance, then let a new conductor take the podium. You will know leadership has changed when your inner language shifts from "what if it goes wrong" to "what if I am finally ready." That change of grammar, fear to possibility, is a measurable pivot in the nervous system. Shoulders drop, jaw softens, vision widens. The body confirms what the mind struggles to admit. Think of your body as a living antenna. Breath is the mast. Posture is the angle. Attention is the fine-tuning dial. When breath is trapped high in the chest and the shoulders fold, the antenna is bent and the music distorts. When you lengthen the exhale, stack the spine, and let your gaze settle, the antenna straightens and the room of the body becomes acoustically honest again. You did not change the truth. You changed your receptivity to it. This is why clarity arrives in showers, walks, and pauses, moments when the antenna self-corrects. The world feels different, not because it changed, but because you are finally hearing it without interference. Another way the signal identifies itself is by the quality of time it generates. Noise is impatient. It worships immediacy and calls stillness wasteful. The signal is precise but unhurried. It offers the next step, not the next year, because the next year cannot be heard from a frequency you have not reached. When you follow it, the present becomes dense with meaning. One conversation opens 3 doors. One forgiving breath dissolves a conflict that would have lasted a week. 1 hour of deep attention replaces 10 hours of frantic effort. That is not magic. It is physics. Coherence multiplies effectiveness. The quantum shift is less about adding force and more about carrying such inner order that life organizes around you. You will know you are reading the signal accurately when choices feel like remembering rather than inventing. Inventing strains. Remembering releases. Inventing tries to impress a crowd. Remembering serves a message. Here is a simple test. After deciding, do you feel larger inside your own skin? Not louder or hyped, larger, like a room with windows thrown open. Old reflexes may flutter, but underneath your tissue exhales. If that exhale is present, walk forward. If your body shrinks and your breath thins, pause. Do not shame yourself. Simply acknowledge that the frequency of the decision does not match the song you are learning to sing. Because discernment is a muscle, it strengthens with repetition. At first you hear a single clear note in a noisy day. Then you catch a phrase. Eventually entire passages arrive, and what used to be guesswork becomes a quiet knowing that surprises you with its kindness. Along the way, you will want proof before you act, but proof is the shadow of resonance, not its source. Evidence tends to appear after alignment, not before. Step first where peace points. Let confirmations greet you on the path. Each time you honor a small ping, send the message, go outside, put the phone down. You engrave a new neural path and teach your body, this is safe. Safety stabilizes the signal. Stabilization becomes trust. Trust becomes baseline. There is a final distinction that prevents months of detours. The signal is simple. Not simplistic, simple, like clean lines in a quiet room. It speaks in verbs the body understands: stay, leave, call, rest, write, forgive, begin. It does not spiral into 12 hypotheticals or demand a perfect mood. It offers a step you can do from where you are with what you have in the next honest hour. Noise worships complexity and keeps you working on yourself forever. The signal respects the economy of your life. It gives you the action that collapses 10 problems at once because it comes from the level of consciousness where those problems were never separate. So when the day grows loud and old stations crowd the dial, return to the most faithful instrument you own. Feel your feet. Lengthen the exhale. Ask the question that never lies. Does this open me or close me? If it opens you, even by 1 degree, you have found the thread. Follow it as you would follow a familiar voice in a dark room, not by sprinting but by moving toward the tone that feels like home. In that movement, imagination becomes transmission. Coincidence becomes confirmation. Effort becomes elegance. People will ask, what changed? And you will answer, I finally listened. That is the heart of your quantum shift. You did not force a new life into being. You tuned to the one that had been calling your name all along. Your future self is already broadcasting. What makes it hard to hear is not absence of signal, but abundance of static, old fear stations, trauma echoes, the crowded chorus of other people's expectations. The goal of your quantum shift is not to smash those stations, it is to master the dial.
Static will always hum in the background of a human life.
Coherence begins when you stop negotiating with noise and start giving your attention, your most creative currency, to the one tone that opens your whole body. Attention organizes reality. Wherever it lingers, energy condenses and events take shape. This is why trying not to think about it fails. Resistance feeds what it fights. The signal strengthens when you become more fascinated with peace than with problems, more devoted to the quiet melody inside than to the headlines outside. Imagine a crowded room where 10 conversations collide, yet you're face to face with someone you love. You don't silence the room. You choose the voice. The world does not get quieter, you get truer. Your body is the instrument that makes that choice possible. When breath is shallow, jaw tight, shoulders caved, the antenna bends and distorts the music. When you let the exhale lengthen, allow the spine to stack, soften the throat, and feel the weight of your feet, the antenna straightens. The same life feels different because reception has cleared. Do not underestimate such simple shifts. Chemistry follows posture. Posture follows attention, and together they decide which reality becomes audible. The mind likes elaborate plans. The signal offers the next clean step. It speaks in verbs the body understands: rest, write, call, begin, release. One honest action done from resonance collapses 10 problems at once, because it originates from the level where those problems were never separate. Notice how time behaves when you follow that tone. Minutes thicken, meaning concentrates. Coincidences cluster. Doors open in ways hustle never forced. It isn't luck. It's physics. Coherent fields interact more efficiently with the world around them. Confusion will argue for complexity. It will demand a guarantee before you move and call stillness doing nothing. Remember, evidence is the shadow of alignment, not its prerequisite. The confirmations tend to arrive after you tune, numbers repeating, sentences finding you, faces appearing at the perfect hour. Treat each as a breadcrumb, not a destination. Let them train your nervous system to recognize that this frequency is safe. Safety stabilizes coherence. Stabilized coherence becomes trust. Trust becomes baseline. As you tune more consistently, expect the old stations to flare, not because you failed, but because you are graduating. Scarcity will file its last appeal. Shame will recycle its oldest story. These are loyalty tests to past identities. A kind response dissolves them faster than a fight. Thank the reflex that kept you safe when life was louder. Then return to the question that never lies. Does this open me or close me? If it opens you even by a degree, that is your direction. Walk there without spectacle. There is a tenderness to this work. You are re-educating a body that once equated familiarity with safety, even when the familiar hurt. Rushing only convinces your biology that the new is dangerous. Go at the speed of trust. Let gratitude, love, and quiet joy saturate your tissues for no reason other than that they match the tone of the life you are choosing. Elevated emotion is not decoration. It is the amplifier that locks the dial. Feel first, then move. Movement taken from that feeling has the strange efficiency of grace. You will know the dial is holding when your decisions feel like remembering rather than inventing. Inventing strains and performs. Remembering relaxes and aligns. People will ask what technique you used, and you will struggle to name it because the technique was not a trick. It was fidelity, to breath, to body, to the note that made you larger inside your own skin. That fidelity is the craft of coherence. Practice it in ordinary hours. Let it choose your words, your pauses, your food, your bedtime, your yes, your no. This is how a moment of attunement becomes a manner of living. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. Keep choosing the voice that opens you. In that choice, day after day, the static fades into background texture, and the signal that once felt rare becomes the atmosphere you inhabit. This is tuning. This is coherence. This is the lived shape of your quantum shift. Recognition begins in mind, tuning happens in attention, but embodiment is where your quantum shift becomes inevitable. Until the body learns the music, the signal will feel like a visiting guest, beautiful, inspiring, and gone by morning. Your task now is not to chase more insight. It is to train tissue, breath, and nervous system to treat coherence as home. Think of the body as a living antenna grown from memory. It has equated familiar with safe for years, even when the familiar exhausted you. If you force a new station, the old alarms blare. If you invite safety first, the dial holds by itself. Safety, not willpower, stabilizes frequency. When the exhale lengthens, the jaw loosens, and the belly stops guarding, circulation improves, and the prefrontal conductor comes online. Suddenly, the next step is obvious. Not because a miracle arrived, but because the static of survival quieted enough for truth to be heard. This is why practices that seem almost insultingly simple, slow breath, posture that stacks the spine, one palm on heart, carry disproportionate power. Chemistry follows posture. Mood follows chemistry. Choices follow mood. Change the angle of the antenna and the whole song clarifies. Embodiment asks for repetition more than intensity. One sincere minute, many times a day, will outperform a monthly marathon of self-improvement. Meet the moment you actually have. The elevator ride, the parked car, the kettle waiting to boil. In those pockets, feel your feet, soften your tongue, let the shoulders drop back and down. Name one sensation of comfort, however small, the warmth in your chest, the ease behind your eyes, and let attention dwell there long enough for the body to register. This is safe. Each micro-confirmation engraves a new association. Coherence, safety. Once that pairing locks in, the system will begin to choose coherence on its own. Emotion is your amplifier. Gratitude, quiet joy, humble awe, these are not decorative sentiments. They are electromagnetic states that increase signal strength. You do not need a perfect reason to feel them. Begin where you are. The light on the table. The way breath moves in cool and out warm. The fact that against all odds, you are still here. Let that felt brightness spread through the ribs and into the hands as if they were small lamps. The body does not understand theory. It understands texture. Give it textures worth repeating. Expect resistance and read it correctly. A wave of restlessness when you slow down is not proof you are bad at this. It is the tremor of an old contract being renegotiated. The ache in the shoulders, the flutter in the gut, the reflex to reach for the phone. These are loyalty tests to the previous paradigm. Meet them like you would meet a frightened child. Name what's present, offer breath instead of argument, and lower the intensity rather than raising it. Going slower is not quitting. It is convincing biology that the new way will not hurt. Embodiment also has an ecological dimension. Environments either interfere with or reinforce your tone. The room that crowds your senses, the conversation that spikes your pulse, the feed that addicts your eyes, they bend the antenna without asking. Cure it with gentleness, not drama. Open a window. Clear a surface. Choose a sentence to return to when noise swells. Replace one scroll with a brief walk. You are not banishing life's volume. You are designing acoustics so the signal can be heard. You will notice embodiment working when ordinary actions acquire a different density. A difficult email written from coherence lands cleanly and closes 5 loops at once. Food chosen from a settled body leaves energy instead of stealing it. Boundaries spoken in a warm voice are received without the theater that used to surround them. Even fatigue feels different. No longer proof of failure, it becomes the body's accurate request to be refueled. This quiet accuracy is one of the surest signs your future is no longer an idea. It is moving through hands and calendar. Finally, remember that integration ripples forward and backward. As you embody the broadcast, life will surface echoes of the old station. Unfinished conversations, stale habits, people who only knew your former rhythm. Do not treat these returns as omens. They are the last reverberations in a room that has already changed shape. Meet them from the frequency you have chosen. Breathe, soften, answer as the one you are becoming, not as the one you were. The body will feel the difference and memorize it. With each repetition, the guest becomes the host, and the music that once visited decides to live here. That is embodiment. That is how the signal becomes you. Every quantum shift passes through weather. One day the air is clear and the station of your future self sings effortlessly. The next, static blooms, old anxieties, sudden irritations, a mood that seems to arrive without a door. Do not misread this weather. Resistance is not a verdict on your capacity. It is a sign that two patterns are touching. The life you practiced and the life you're practicing now. When frequencies rub, heat appears. The work is not to eliminate heat, but to use it. Begin by renaming what rises. A trigger is a tender alarm, not an accusation. Fatigue is a request, not a failure. Procrastination is often fear in costume. These reframes matter because your nervous system believes the story you tell it. Condemnation tightens the antenna. Curiosity loosens it. When tension spikes, come back to the simplest geometry. Breathe lower and slower than the moment seems to allow. Let the shoulders slide back and down, widen the view of the room. In under 60 seconds, blood reroutes and the part of you capable of choice returns to the cockpit. Echoes will visit. An old habit knocks. A familiar voice tries to rent space in your mind at yesterday's price. Your power is not in dramatic refusals. It is in quiet selection. Ask the question that never lies. Does this open me or close me? If it opens, even slightly walk there. If it closes, thank it for what it once protected and let it pass without performance. Sovereignty rarely looks like a showdown. It looks like a steady hand on the dial. Relationships are the most exquisite amplifiers of this work. Coherence will change how you speak, and not everyone will celebrate. Some will hear your new tone as absence because you are no longer feeding the old loop. Meet this with kindness and clarity. Say less, mean more. Offer presence without abandoning your boundaries. The aim is not to convert anyone. It is to be unmistakably yourself. When you stop arguing with noise, you model another choice. Some will tune with you, some won't. Both outcomes are grace because both protect your frequency. Environment matters. Sound, light, clutter, screens, each is a hand on your antenna. You don't need a monastery to live coherently. You need small mercies that keep the channel clear. Open a window. Place one object where your eyes can rest. Silence a single notification thread. Replace one scroll with a walk, one late-night spiral with an early stop. These micro-edits are not cosmetic. They are acoustic engineering for the soul. They reduce reactivity and make it easier to hear the next true step. Action from coherence has a different texture. It is unhurried and unmistakable. You send the email you were avoiding and it resolves 5 loose ends at once. You decline an invitation and feel energy return instead of guilt. You spend an hour in deep focus and time behaves. Minutes thicken, meaning concentrates, outcomes stack. This is not magic. It is physics. A coherent field interacts with the world more efficiently than a fragmented one. You are not doing more. You are leaking less. Expect the mind to bargain. Prove this is working, then I'll trust it. Invert the bargain. Trust first in small ways you can verify. One breath, one selection, one clean conversation. And let results accumulate as evidence. Build a personal archive of wins. Moments when choosing openness over urgency, presence over performance, yielded better outcomes. Review them when fear forgets. Memory is medicine. It teaches your biology that the new is safe. When setbacks happen, and they will, practice graceful repair. Do not turn a lapse into an identity. Name what occurred, feel what it touched, restore the dial with breath, and take one small aligned action within the next hour. The speed of repair is more predictive of momentum than the absence of mistakes. Every return strengthens trust. I can leave the station and find it again. Finally, remember that growth prefers the speed of truth, not the speed of panic. Your future is not asking you to sprint. It is asking you to be faithful.
Fidelity looks like repeating what works on boring days, honoring limits, feeding your body, and choosing words that your nervous system can believe.
Keep the practice human, not heroic. Keep the dial in reach. Keep selecting what opens you. In that selection, friction becomes fuel, weather becomes training, and resistance, once your loudest antagonist, becomes the pressure that forges your signal into something stable, generous, and unmistakably yours. Your quantum shift is no longer a spark. It is a pilot light. Guardianship is how you protect that flame while the house of your life rearranges around it. This is not a sprint of willpower or a glamorous reinvention montage. It is quiet stewardship, small, repeatable moves that keep you coherent when the day tries to scatter you. Think of yourself as both musician and instrument. You choose the score, and you also keep the strings in tune. Begin with open and close rituals, bookends that teach your nervous system where the day starts and ends. On waking, let your first attention be inward, not outsourced. 3 slow breaths, lower and wider than habit, a palm to the heart to confirm presence, and a single sentence that states the tone you will broadcast. Today, I move at the speed of truth. At night, close the loop. List what opened you, release what didn't. Thank the body for carrying you. These simple brackets tame the drift of time. They tell biology we are led from within. Guardianship is also architecture, designed for the signal you intend to keep. Put frictions in front of habits that bend your antenna and remove frictions from those that sharpen it. If late-night scrolling steals your tone, park the device in another room and place a paper book where your hands land. If morning noise hijacks your mind, let silence be the default and sound be the choice. You are not performing discipline. You are tuning acoustics so the music can be heard. Next, choose keystone acts, small behaviors that create outsized stability when repeated. A real breakfast rather than a rush. 10 honest minutes of focused work before messages. A walk that resets your eyes to horizon instead of screen. Water before coffee. 5 lines of journaling where you name what you feel without decorating it. Do not underestimate these ordinary acts. They are not self-help cliches. They are alignment mechanics. Chemistry follows routine. Routine becomes rhythm. Rhythm becomes baseline. Practice clean no barks warm yes. A clean no is a boundary without theatre. Brief, kind, final. A warm yes is consent you can inhabit without resentment. Each time you choose either, you withdraw energy from the old station of obligation and feed the signal of sovereignty. Do this especially in micro-decisions. The quick favor, the harmless detour, the just this once. Momentum is lost most often by crumbs. Not crises. Expect echoes. Old patterns returning for a last dance. They are not proof you failed. They are proof the field is reorganizing. Meet them with the 4-step repair. 1. Notice the contraction. 2. Name it accurately. Anxiety surge, people-pleasing reflex, fatigue asking for food. B. Nourish. 2 slow breaths, a glass of water, 1 sentence of truth. 4. Navigate. Take a single aligned action within the next hour. The speed and gentleness of repair build more trust than a perfect day ever could. Keep a personal evidence ledger. Each time coherence works, an email resolves cleanly, a boundary lands without drama, an unexpected support arrives, write 1 line. This is not for bragging. It is for biology. In anxious weather, the ledger becomes medicine. Tangible proof that your future frequency produces results in the physical world. Brains believe repetition and record. Give yours both. Curate inputs like a conductor curates players. Not everything earns a seat in your orchestra. Notice which voices sharpen your presence and which consistently flood you with static. Reduce the casual intake of outrage. Increase the deliberate intake of beauty. Beauty is not a luxury, it is regulation. A beam of light on a wall, a well-made sentence, a song that slows your pulse. These are stabilizers as real as any supplement. Remember energy math. Every choice either leaks or returns energy. Some tasks are expensive but valuable. Budget for them and recover deliberately. Some are expensive and empty. Stop paying those invoices. Some are small deposits that compound wildly over time. Water, sleep, movement, sunlight, laughter, silence. If you track only productivity, you will bankrupt your signal. Track restoration with the same seriousness. Finally, treat all of this as craft, not crisis response. Craftspeople show up whether or not inspiration knocks. They sand, glue, tune, and polish. They respect materials and improve by millimeters. When you approach your frequency like a craft, pressure drops, consistency rises, and identity reshapes around practice. You stop chasing peak moments and start building a floor you can stand on. Guardianship will not make life frictionless. It will make you reliable to yourself within any weather. And that reliability is the miracle hidden in plain sight. When you can trust your own signal, decisions simplify, relationships clarify, and time stops feeling like a current that drags you and starts feeling like a river you can read. The pilot light stays lit, the house warms. The music holds. Your quantum shift is no longer a distant possibility. It is the pulse of your life right now. What began as a subtle pull, a quiet invitation from your future self, has become the rhythm of your every breath. You no longer wait for proof of transformation. You are the proof. From the moment you arrived here, every small choice to pause, to breathe, to trust has strengthened the signal. Each act of gratitude, each decision to release fear turned static into harmony. Now the music is clear. You live inside it. Living as the signal does not require grand gestures. It shows itself in simple, powerful moments, the calm choice in a tense conversation, the deep breath before you speak, the silent gratitude for the day as it begins. These quiet actions build the architecture of your new life and keep your frequency steady no matter what unfolds around you. If old echoes appear, familiar doubts, old habits, people from the past, see them as fading ripples, not failures. Meet them with peace. Remind yourself, I've crossed the threshold. My new timeline is already real. Each time you stay anchored in that truth, the foundation of your new reality grows stronger. Guard your attention. It is sacred. Where it flows, creation follows. Feed it with gratitude. Anchor it in love. Refuse to give it to fear. You no longer chase meaning or wait for signs. You radiate the sign. Your very presence carries a frequency that others can feel before you speak. Now, pause and place a hand over your heart. Breathe in deeply. Feel the resonance of your future self humming through your chest. This is home. This is the life you chose. Let this stillness seal the journey. Before you go, make a simple but powerful declaration. Type, I am living my quantum shift in the comments. This is not just engagement. It's a statement to your own soul and to the universe that you are fully awake and aligned. If this message moved you, subscribe now so you never lose this connection and so we can walk this path together. Every new video will help you stay aligned, centered, and strong in your new frequency. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. Stay radiant, stay steady, and remember, you are the shift. Until next time, I send you peace and light.